Hello there, a very great evening to you indeed, and many thanks for joining us on Rwanda Television News tonight. I hope that you had yourselves a great and productive start of the week. Welcome to today's edition. These are the headlines. On Monday, President Paul Kagame joined leaders for the welcome dinner ahead of the Korea-Africa Summit. Over 700 families, primarily from vulnerable groups, are being housed in various parts of Kigali. Good evening to you once again, and many thanks for your company on Rwanda Television News tonight. And as we begin tonight's edition, let us inform you that President Paul Kagame on Monday, June 3rd, joined other leaders for a welcome dinner hosted by South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol and First Lady Kim Kyon-hee. The leaders are in South African capital Seoul for the first Korea-Africa Summit, which begins on Tuesday. Among other African leaders already in Seoul, include President Philip Nyusi of Mozambique, Emerson Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe, and Alassane Ouattara of Ivory Coast. Earlier on Monday, President Paul Kagame and South Korean President held discussions about bilateral relations and cooperation in various areas of cooperation. President Paul Kagame arrived in Seoul on Monday for the Korea-Africa Summit that begins on Tuesday. The Rwandan leader is also expected to visit the Yonsei University, where he will be presented with an honorary doctorate. The two-day Korea-Africa Summit is expected to attract African leaders and representatives of international organizations, key figures from Korean and international business communities, academia, civil society groups, among others. And moving ahead to other matters still on bilateral cooperation, the special representative of the Chinese government on African affairs, Louis Yuxi, and his delegation on Monday held discussions with the Prime Minister of Rwanda, Dr. Edouard Ngirente, on key bilateral relations between the two countries and pledged to raise it to a higher height. Mr. Louis Yuxi also invited the Rwandan government to attend the next China and Africa Cooperation Forum and Summit scheduled in September this year in Beijing.
我非常高兴的，作为中国政府非洲事务特别代表访问我们兄弟的友好的。
I'm very happy that as the special representative of Chinese government for African affairs to visit our brotherly and friendly Rwanda. I'm very honored to have meeting with the Right Honorable Prime Minister and also Honorable Minister of State. Both sides are very satisfactory about the current China-Rwanda bilateral relations, and we are also very willing to further expand our cooperation in bilateral and multilateral areas. And we are also very happy to see that under the strategic leadership of His Excellency President Paul Kagame, the RPF in Kotani and the Rwanda government, that Rwanda has really realized a stable society, a rapid economic growth, and people are also very united, and we send our sincere congratulations. And in this September, we will convene a new China and Africa Cooperation Forum Summit, which is FOCAC Summit. And the China and African leaders will gather together in Beijing to discuss and lay out further plans of China-African cooperation. And we look forward to bring China-African cooperation into a new high level. Rwanda people are very good friends of Chinese people and also feel very privileged to transmit the invitation of Chinese government to Rwanda's government over this upcoming summit. And we look forward to the visit of Rwandan leaders and delegation to China so that we can together discuss how to elevate our cooperation into a new level. And also firmly believe that this upcoming FOCAC summit will deliver more outcomes, and China-Rwanda cooperation could yield to more outcomes.
说中非合作、中卢合作将会有更多的、更加丰硕的成果。
Over 700 families, primarily from vulnerable groups, are being housed in various parts of Kigali. By early July, they will be provided with accommodations valued at more than 21 billion Rwandan francs. Olive Nete.
Homelessness in various parts of Kigali city poses a significant threat to vulnerable groups, including genocide survivors, disaster victims, and others. Ngendahaya Patrick, from the Gikomero sector, is among those affected by this issue.
It's not easy currently because there are sometimes you fail to get the money for rent and you find yourself getting chased. For instance, I have family, but there are my fellows who were given houses and I was told that by this time I will get a house too. So that's the case that brought me here.
In the Gatsata and Gisozi sectors, over 4,852 families have been relocated, with Kigali city spending over 200 million Rwandan francs on this effort. Some families are still in temporary rentals. In Musanza, a building worth more than 1 billion Rwandan francs is under construction to house those in need. Additionally, in the Gikomero sector, new 4-in-1 houses are being completed to accommodate over 26 families.
Having family but without a shelter, for you to only with your brother, it was something that was really bothering. We started to build these houses on 8th February, whereas we were asked to build these houses in only 6 months, but we tried to complete them within 4 months. Now the only thing remaining is to submit them to the administration, because the remaining work will not exceed 1 month.
In the Gitega sector, construction of model villages with 220 houses is underway. These villages will accommodate 688 families, including 220 previously evicted families returning to their homes, as well as families displaced by disasters and those in need. These new accommodations are expected to significantly improve their lives.
This is a good sign because this used to be a very chaotic place. But now we are experiencing the development, and this will also be marked as a nice place for residents to reside in a clean city.
Non-governmental organizations commend the relocation process for vulnerable individuals as it reduces the chaos often faced by those who are displaced without a clear destination.
This shows how Rwanda is doing good things, because there are some who get relocated but don't get the compensation fee, but instead get houses to reside. For example, you saw that model village of Karama. Literally, is something that we appreciate as NGOs.
The mayor of Kigali City, Samuel Dusengiyumva, emphasizes that relocating vulnerable individuals to well-maintained areas is an ongoing effort. This initiative aligns with the city's vision of maintaining cleanliness and enhancing its reputation on the international stage.
What I can assure the residents of the city of Kigali is that we are now collaborating with the relevant institutions to establish a way of building affordable houses suitable for the residents of the city of Kigali.
All these model villages, valued at over 21 billion Rwandan francs, are included in the current budget ending on June 30th. These new villages complement those in Musanze and Karama, which are already home to people who previously lived in high-risk zones.
Members of the Zambian Parliamentary Committee on Cabinet Affairs are on a study visit to Rwanda. The visit aims to strengthen existing parliamentary relations and cooperation, as well as learning from Rwanda's journey towards a digital service delivery. The delegation of the parliamentarians from Zambia, led by the committee chairperson, Honorable Zindulu Lumbusha, and noted that they intend to implement what they learned from their Rwandan counterparts and the country's journey in general.
To benchmark and learn a few things as regards digital transformation. As a matter of fact, Rwanda is one of the best countries in terms of digital transformation in Africa, and even at the world map, at least we have seen Rwanda be recognized as such. And as the Zambian government, we are also moving towards the same digital transformation in our country, and especially regards artificial intelligence. So basically, we've learned quite much here in Rwanda from the interaction that we have I've had with the committee on education, communication and culture. We've exchanged quite a few notes and we've learned so much. And when we get back to our country, we are going to make sure that what we have learned here, we impart that knowledge and the initiative onto Smart Zambia so that we can also move towards the direction that Rwanda is moving on in terms of digital transformation.
And moving ahead to other matters, on Monday, Will Wilson, a British national residing here in Rwanda, launched a campaign to encourage women to get checked for breast cancer. Inspired by his wife's successful battle against the disease, Wilson aims to raise awareness and promote early detection. We do have the details. Will Wilson, a wildlife photographer, has been residing in Rwanda for more than 3 years. He started the campaign with a goal to do a 24-hour non-stop treadmill workout. Those who joined him for the campaign launch were given the knowledge on self-testing of breast cancer. Will Wilson say after knowing his wife had breast cancer, they both were shaken.
Yeah, of course. So it's December 2022 when we're here. And my wife does monthly checks of her breasts, and she found a lump in her left breast. So we went to Frontier Diagnostics in Nyarutarama, and she was checked by the doctor and had an ultrasound and found she had a lump. So we went to King Faisal Hospital and she was given a biopsy, and they said it was an abnormal and that it was cancer. So her office, she works at the British High Commission here in Rwanda, so she's sent back to the UK. There she received an operation to remove the left breast and then went through 4 months of chemotherapy. It was a dark place. We had a tendency to go, what if, what if, what if? And it doesn't end in a nice place, it ends in death. And to bring ourselves out of that, we decided to focus on the things we could control, which is only the next step in the treatment. Don't go past that, because you don't know what it's going to be. Focus on what you can control. The earlier you go and seek treatment, the better your chances of a positive outcome. The later you leave it, the more that cancer will have progressed, grown. Treatment options get smaller the longer you leave it. Go early, get it sorted.
The director of the Cancer Control Division at the Rwanda Biomedical Center, Dr. Maniragaba Theonest, commended Wilson's initiative.
Most of our patients that we treat with the cancer, they present with advanced diseases. I'm talking about breast cancer and even other women cancers like cervical cancer. But also others also present with advanced stages. And this leads to poor outcome when it comes to treatment. To deal with the issue, we have to make sure that we involve in education and information so that people get aware about what we have, and we teach them signs and symptoms. Then we help them in navigation so that when they get symptoms, they can present to treatment centers at early stage, hence good outcome during treatment. The good news is that for all major cancers that we have in Rwanda, we have treatment for all those modalities, being surgery, chemotherapy and radiotherapy, and we have good doctors that can help people.
It is expected that participants of this campaign will voluntarily donate to support the Rwanda Cancer Relief Organization in order to continue campaigning and researching on cancer. According to the Rwanda Biomedical Center, 5,000 new cases of cancer are recorded in Rwanda every year. Breast and cervical cancer are the most prevalent. Highly commendable initiative indeed. And moving ahead to other matters, men in Burera district are urging their counterparts to understand that they should play their part in ensuring that children eat balanced diet in order to fight malnutrition, and that it is a responsibility of both parents to ensure that children are healthy, not just mothers. Burera is among top 10 districts in the country with the highest levels of stunting among children, at the rate of 41.6% according to the figures complied during the 2019-2020 fiscal year, and local residents there say they are working to change that. District officials say the problem of illicit drugs, especially in sectors near the border have continued to be a problem when it comes to providing the welfare of families and mitigating domestic violence, which is why efforts have been increased in fighting the vice. A week-long campaign has now been launched in Burera district, gearing towards improving the health of mothers and their children, and present at the event to mark the start of the campaign was the Minister of Gender and Family Promotion, who urged men to play their part in such initiatives, noting that the home with healthy children always feature an active participation from their fathers to ensure that they eat balanced diets. The campaign also includes the vaccination of toddlers between the ages of 9 months and 6 years against measles, as well as a provision of vitamin A pills for those between the ages of 6 months and 5 years, as well as other services that will provide other parts of that will be provided in other parts of the country as well. Moving ahead, sugarcane growers and suppliers to the Kabuye sugar processing plant are celebrating the reopening of the factory that had been shut down for about 3 months. The factory that had been closed due to the floods that hit the extensive sugarcane plantations, as well as the renovation activities, is now reopened. We do have the details with Prince Manzi.
Farmers in the Gahanga swamp are loading sugarcane into trucks to be taken to the processing plant. It had been more than 3 months with no such activities in the fields or in the factory. We incurred big losses because we had the produce without the market. That leads to many problems like lack of school fees for the children and other basic needs. The plant is once again operational, something farmers commend. We are very happy that the plant has been reopened in a due season when our sugarcane plantations are about to yield. In that case, it means our sugarcane will have ready market. We are very lucky that the plant is reopening. We are going to get the income again, but also it means the sugarcane will grow again without getting spoiled by too much rainy water. The plant management says after the reopening of the plant, the price for sugar reduced from 1,600 to 1,200 Rwanda francs. Measures are being taken to increase production.
So, ariko twakorana leta tuvugana leta sabu dufasha n'ubundi busanzwe turashimira leta ya Green na Minicom.
We have been working with the government. We thank the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Trade and RDB. They always help us. But we need more assistance so that even dormant swamps can be cultivated to be able to increase sugarcane produce. Because when the produce is available, the price of sugar reduces immediately, which means we have a big impact on the local market. In those 3 months, this plant invested 300 million Rwanda francs in renovation. Kabuye Sugar Works has the capacity to process 600 tons of sugarcane, producing 30 tons of sugar. The lack of sugarcane produce means a deficit of 70,000 tons of sugar per year, which forces the government to import more sugar.
abantu bakubwira ko hari ibyo udashoboye nagira ngo mubwire ko byose birashoboka iyo wumvise kakajwi kakubwira gati irekure alo veterine ya baba inka zarembye pe do hari abakeka ko kuba bari kure business zihagarara irahebeba urifuza kuruhuka uguwe neza hamwe n'abawe ngo bagutera isoni ahubwo gahunda zawe ufite uyu munsi ni izihe irekure na bando zose za MTN kuri 4G kanda subscribe duhurire online
moments. Laying hoops. Gaming away. Making moves. Breakfast with family. Inyanje is always there. Whatever the occasion. Whatever the moment. Always ask for Inyanje.
Welcome back and thank you for keeping it to Rwanda Television News as we transition it to other matters making headlines on the international scene. Minibus taxis are everywhere in South Africa and all of them run on gasoline. But engineers at the university are hoping to change that as they are getting better than expected results from their all-electric minibus taxi trials.
An estimated 250,000 minibus taxis are providing transportation for people all over South Africa. The vehicles, while convenient and popular, also require gasoline, which contributes to pollution and climate change. At Stellenbosch University in the southwest, engineering students have been working on ways to electrify South Africa's minibus fleet. Over the course of a year, the team has retrofitted a gas-powered minibus to run on electricity, which they say is the first of its kind in the country. Such retrofits could help drivers save money.
You're going to save substantially. So just to give you an idea, our calculations show that if you buy a new electric taxi, you'll pay it off within 7 years because of the savings. If you do a retrofit, you pay it off within 1 year.
In South Africa, electric vehicles, also known as EVs, have been slow to catch on, despite United Nations carbon emission reduction targets to limit global warming. The Automotive Business Council says that under 1,000 electric vehicles were purchased in the country last year. For many, the EV price tag is too high, and until recently, the state's erratic power supply from mostly coal-fired power stations has also been a deterrent.
In South Africa, we have a very constrained grid, and introducing EVs in a naive way will exacerbate the problem. So we're trying to figure out a strategy around that.
Engineering team members here say vehicle electrification will eventually become commonplace in South Africa, and solar power will play a major role in its success. For their next project, they will attempt to retrofit a public transport bus. For now, though, the engineers are seeking financial support from both the government and the private sector to take their minibus taxi project further. Vicky Stark, VOA News, Cape Town, South Africa.
And viewers' report brings us to the end of tonight's edition. But before we step out on the quick recap, these are the headlines. On Monday, President Paul Kagame joined leaders for a welcome dinner ahead of the Korea-Africa Summit. Over 700 families, primarily from vulnerable groups, are being housed in various parts of Kigali. And to international matters, South Africa's first retrofitted electric minibus taxis exceeds expectations from the trials. And this brings us to the end of our tonight's edition. On behalf of the entire news production, as well as the technical team that made it happen, many thanks for being with us on today's edition. And up until next time, stay safe and have a great and fruitful week ahead. Goodbye.